Hello, everyone. So let's see what this story is talking about. It says here the victim on Law and Order resists testifying against uh, attacker because of systematic inequality. What does that even mean? Systematic inequality? A recent episode of crime drama, Law and Order Special Victims Unit, went viral after a white victim resisted testifying against her attacker because she's concerned he wouldn't get a fair trial due to his race. Is he also white? And why does she want him to have a fair trial? This man violated you. In the January 25th, what was it, 25 episode, Truth Embargo, the character Natalie, played by actress, I don't need to know who played it, was attacked in a dressing room during a smash and grab. Okay. I guess he smashed. Smash and grab robbery of a clothing store. What's this inequality? If this man is robbing a goddamn clothing store, he ain't rich. At the hospital, Natalie denies seeing the man's face, despite video footage showing the man removing his mask before entering the dressing room. So they have evidence. They have evidence. It's a freaking open and shut case. Eventually, she reluctantly identifies her attacker, a black man. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That is wild. I see what happened here. I see what happened here. The wokeness got him. The wokeness got him. Oh my God. She's saying because he's black, he wouldn't get a fair trial, even though, so she's concerned for his well-being because he's black. It's the Black Lives Matter. The man literally violated you, and you don't want to identify him because you think he's going to get buried under the jail. What the hell is happening in the world today? Played by actor Mike. Why is there so many Y's in this guy's name? Mikey Cooper. Natalie's lesbian partner, Brooke, played by actress, I don't need to, explains to the detectives that Natalie's angry at the criminal justice system. She's inconsolable, Brooke tells Captain Olivia Benson, played by, I don't know. We are acutely aware of the systematic inequalities that exist between the criminal justice system. She explains she's concerned Watson won't receive a fair trial. Uh, uh, that's mind blowing. How woke do you need to be where you're trying to protect someone that would do something like that? Captain Benson tells Brooke, well, I can't deny that there's a history of racial bias. It's certainly not a perfect system. Natalie continues to struggle with her frustration with the system during the court trial, while on stand she refuses to identify Watson as her attacker. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. She emotionally tells them that she has the luxury of getting therapy to heal. What? That is wild. That is a wild thing to say. This man would do something like that to you. He would do it to other people. This is not about you anymore. I can afford therapy. I have that luxury. And maybe one day, wow, she's checking her own privilege. She's checking her own privilege. maybe one day I'll be okay, but if that teenager goes he was a teenager, goes to prison, he may not be ever. I don't want that. If you felt that way, then you should have consented. I don't I don't know what to tell you. That's Benson convinces Natalie to identify Watson as her attacker from the stand. Watson later explains his regret to the prosecutor, says he's learned his lesson. Bro, how that's not a lesson to learn. That is something you should already know. Instinctively, people know that. Like, you know, if you're forcing yourself on someone and they're trying to fight you, that you're doing something wrong. Like, this isn't one of those things. This isn't one of those put your hands in fire because you're curious kind of things, because that way it only hurts you. That's like knowing not to hurt other people is an instinctive thing that you should know. And the moment you start doing it, it's not a lesson that you just like, oh, now I get it. I learned I shouldn't be doing this. Like, that's crazy. The district attorney agrees to a plea deal and commends the teenager for taking responsibility. Bro, are you insane? Are you insane? So they're saying there's a systematic racial bias against certain people of color, and to counter that, you're going to let off one of the heinous criminals that you could possibly let off just because of the color of his skin, in order to what to make up for it. This whole thing is insane. And let's address the whole systematic racial bias in the justice system. From my perspective, that bias only exists because of the foreign nature of certain people of certain cultures, right? People, it's kind of like you have more sympathy for people that reminds you of people that you're close to than you do of people that look like strangers, right? So um I see the biases as the judges just looking at the numbers and looking at the crime and not taking the person into consideration unless the person is kind of familiar in a way, right? That person reminds them of their cousin or their aunt. So, like, I can see that racial bias in that sense. It's an unconscious sort of bias where you kind of like you sympathize with the people more the closer they are to you in a certain mental space. But I don't think most of them, I don't think, are outright just racist. Some might be, some very well might be, and they use the law to the fullest extent in order to get away with their kind of prejudice. But it's not that blatant in most of the cases, I would think. Uh, it's more of like you would be harsher on a stranger than you would be someone that's a little bit closer to you. Uh, for instance, like, say, I don't know, say I'm throwing a party, right? And then a bunch of my friends come over, and friends of theirs come over to the party, and this guy that I didn't know, I've never met, strange dude, never really met him before, never had a conversation. No one is really close to him or sticking up for him, and he gets into a fight with another person that's kind of like that's a friend of a friend of a friend, and who am I going to kick out of the party, right? Am I going to kick out both of them, or most likely am I just going to kick out the guy that's like no one is sticking up for? So it's kind of that kind of situation. It's one of those things where the law just includes a human element, and you can't really correct for that. Uh, and you can see the human element in a case like this, where they're literally trying to make up for past wrongs by forgiving this criminal of a crime that I don't give a shit if he's a teenager. He was not only robbing, he's also violating a woman. That's not something you just learn a lesson and then you move on. This dude needs to be put away. Like he can do that stuff again. Like he could be a repeat offender. Like, anyways, it's crazy. But hey, Law and Order, they're doing their thing, huh? They're hey, they wanna make a political statement and they found a storyline to do it. Hey, good on them. It's getting attention, I guess. You know what I mean? They've been on the air for a long time. If they haven't learned to to manipulate narratives in that way to because I would think mostly women watch that show and because they're into the whole drama of it and all that stuff. I couldn't watch a bunch of episodes of like crimes like that being committed like once in a while it's in a movie or in a show or whatever and it happens and we move on and we have other storylines but like constantly that storyline over and over like I remember like my mom and my sister like watching Lifetime and I'm just like what is it like how do you like soak your mind into these stories repeatedly it's just like it's the same thing and it's just like what's the appeal but anyways until next time.